welcome back on this really windy, wet, miserable day. Ugh. Anyway, we're gonna get that off on a Monday. I've got pretty much everything I need now. Me matting is in, me roll, marine grade this time. Resin is now in. So I had to screw it up. Winds have been so bad that I was watching this lift and it was only 4 screws all day, so I had to screw that down. Well, what I do need to do is I've got to, at some point today or tomorrow, depending on weather, cut, bring that one less bulgy. I know what happened. When I laid in that piece of wood, one side sat lower, the other side sat a little higher for some reason. So there's discrepancies in that top beam. So when I pushed this all down, it squashed that corner in. It's easily fixed. A line across there, cut, and then let it overlap, cut it again, glass over the top, this piece down there, let it overlap, cut again, glass over the top, and then the same here as well to get that bulge out, cut down there, let it overlap, and then glass over the top. And then come Monday, that'll be rock solid. We should be able to lift that off and then get it back on the bench and sort these leaks out once and for all. Now, what are we doing now? This blasted window. There is a series of screws. My plan is to remove that pane and then cut, literally see if I can slide this piece out, cut one side of that off so I can use the other side, which is on the outside, and it comes level. I'm hoping, yeah, level, because at that point then I can then cut across here down, not put that back. I'd like to put that back, but to put that back means I've got to have curved glass here. I haven't got it. The window is too big. This is a spare window. I'm not putting 2 in. I'd like to, but I'm not going to. I want to make my life as easy as possible. I want to get rid of some of the weight. I'd love that bottom window in place, but it just isn't going to go. The space is too big. Unfortunately, this is going to cut in to the crown ring, and you've seen what I've already done, and I do not want more work than necessary. So what that means is I've got to take that panel out, and I've got to do everything that I just said. I've done these before. It never ends well, because usually these blinking screws are all rusted up and solid.
A few moments later.
Right. That bit we don't need. That bit we don't need. Temporarily. Oh, you would, wouldn't you? Right, well. Okay, now it works. I just put a new screw in. The alley is not in the best of condition, to be honest. So we've taken that bottom piece off. If the window looks so weird without it, because there's no natural curve now going on at the bottom like there is at the top. If I could cut that glass down without the risk of it busting, I'd quite happily put that in, because that would be so much better. But I can't curve those corners, otherwise I would. So this is it. The only thing I can say is we've got a flat edge at the bottom and we've got a flat edge at the top. So we might be able to turn this one around that way, but now the drainage is on the wrong end, although I've got a broken one over here. That's a bit of a nuisance. 2 biggest bloody enemies in this build is impatience and flipping rain. Look at that! This is weekend's leaking. I mean, it's destroying it. Not a lot. I mean, look, so much so that it's actually melted, you know, watered down the glue. Oh, it's a mess. But I've done those relief cuts. we look on the outside, I've reframed it and I've pulled that corner in. I know what happened now. One side is longer in height than the other, which caused this wall to bow, which caused that one to bow. I've pulled it in. I've put loads of relief cuts in. There's a relief cut going down there, there's one going down there, there's another one running along there, there's another one running along there, all the way to that, to take that bulge out. There's another one that goes down there. And then my biggest problem was, as soon as I laid everything up, the bloody rain opened up and that got in the resin and the fiberglass. Oh, brother. As long as it holds it for transportation from here to the back garden, I'm not worried, because when we lay up on top of this, it literally is going to be on top. We'll lay this thing down on the bench again and we'll cut 3 lengths, 6 lengths of 300. We'll go 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, I don't know, we'll see. And I've got 5 kilograms of resin, which is going to go over the top, and I'm going to try and get a 600 layer on top of this. Right, that's back in the garden. The structure that I had to alter held out. I'm quite pleased with that. See the cut line there. See the extra. I mean, what I should have done is just cut the whole area out, really, leaving the corner in place. And to be honest with you, glassing that up would have just been a lot smoother. So now I've got to sand that all out before I cover the whole thing. But the leaks, well, there's a couple of them, so I shall cut those screws down and glass over the top. But if you look closely, you can see the resin hasn't quite made it through on those corners. I mean, there's pinprick holes everywhere, so I'm not surprised this is leaking. Someone suggested just putting the paint on and that would probably resolve it. It probably would, but I'm not happy to how thin that is anyway. So I am going to reinforce the whole thing. The roof is not really as good as it could be. At least one more layer with a thicker resin, not a thicker resin but a higher resin layer would be better for the roof. That would resolve the leaks on that. But here I've got to sand it anyway, because where it went in, you can see it bubbled up. Somehow it came off, so we're going to have to cut sand down to the wood, put a fiberglass filler over the top, and then we'll glass over this whole area. And you can see where it all went wrong. I thought I could get away with it. I was just pushing my luck, and it didn't work. I've also got water pouring in around here, and I think it's getting in through those gaps there and there, possibly there as well. So again, fiberglass filler, do that whole edge to curve it off, and then I'll run some extra chop strand over the top, and that should seal that, and then clean up all this area here, and then we'll redo the sides and we'll overlap to about here this time, and hopefully that will be all we need to do. In fact, I might actually do all of those edges again, just to basically reinforce it a bit more. If you remember, I only did, I mean on the back I did the whole back panel, but here I only went up to there. I actually didn't have a lot of leaks at the front. They were mainly on the roof, because there's pinprick holes everywhere because the stuff was so thin, and around that area there. Right, well, I've put some pink grip down in that area. I will be honest, I have no idea how that is going to react to resin. I mean, it might be absolutely disastrous, or it just might be the best thing I could have done. I genuinely do not know. All I know is I've now got a decent radius there, and I'm going to lay up that whole area again. If I've got enough resin, I'm probably going to have to order some more of that. I don't know if I'm going to get this back on before Christmas, to be honest. Genuinely, I do not know. So I've put fiberglass filler in there anyway, just to try and get more, but that didn't work out as well as I'd hoped. It rained. You can tell from this, it just rained after. I'm rushing it now, and I need to slow down and regroup. So I sanded that whole area right back. Where those bumps were was hollow right to the wood. So water has been getting in through the pinpricks, building up around that wood area, running down the back and coming out through the seam. I don't think it is even leaking in at that area there. I think that's all been up here. However, just to make sure, we will glass this all up. Remember, I took the wood away from here anyway, so having that extra strength in there certainly wouldn't hurt. So if we cut one big piece out, resin that whole area, shove it in, roll it. Those rollers I bought are really good, and then hopefully that will be enough to resolve any future problems. Right, we've got this turned over. First piece of wood has gone in on that lip. I was going to scarf all the wood together to make it one solid mass, but that ain't going to help me because lowering it back on, it wasn't the most perfect fit, and having scarf joints everywhere, making this wall rigid is going to be really difficult trying to line the corners up. So no, when it comes to doing that edge, I'm going to come away from that piece of wood that's in there just so as I can twist the roof around a little bit if I have to. I'm hoping I won't. I'm hoping this fix on the corner here is all I need to do. You're probably thinking that is disgracefully disgusting, but that ain't an issue because we're going to sand that all back and then we'll go right over the top of it again. But before I do that, I've got to get these pieces of wood in, and then I'm going to mark out, turn it back over so it's at a lower point, and then start cutting the holes out for the windows. That is so much more rigid, way better. I've done this for two reasons. One is when pulling this thing down and carrying it out, I need a bit more strength in them walls because that's just not enough. Ideally I should really also do a couple of crisscrosses on each corner as well. But it's only going to be turned over once and everything's going to be doubled up, so I think the corners will be a lot stronger once I've added that thickness. That's just another two 450s on there, and that is proper thick with the existing one that's on it. Pity we've got to sand that down, but we have to. Right, another day, another dollar as they say. So, the wood is now on, as you've seen. Last night I gave it a quick sanding. Just bought myself some 40 grits as well so I can go over the whole thing. We have a cunning plan. Something I didn't think of until last night. Oh, well, why the hell did I think of that in the first place and add it when I was building it? And that is surface tissue. What's that? I hear you, some of you saying. Well, what it is a very, 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 very thin and fine matted. I mean, it has very little, if any, gaps in it whatsoever. It's mainly used, to the best of my knowledge anyway, it's mainly used to smooth out a rough job like this. But it will do two jobs for me. One, it will smooth this out, but two, it will hide all the little pinpricks. I grant I need more strength on the side anyway, right? So I'm still going to add, I'm going to add 2 chop strands to the top. So there'll be a further 600 thrown on. I'm not surface tissuing the top because it's just too expensive, this stuff. To cover this over in surface tissue twice, I'm looking well over 100 quid. I can't afford that. What it will do though with the surface tissue is when I do the sides with it, it will leave a very smooth, I won't need to do much in the way of sanding it down. I mean, it will need a tiny bit of hand sanding, but it won't need anything other than that. So, in the words of Jeremy Clarkson, good news.
I've ordered a door.
Camper door. That's it. Not gold plated, not silver plated, just a door. But I'm having a little trouble with him at the moment as well. Oh, I've got my money back on that other fiberglass stuff. I won't be shopping with them again. Never, if I can help it. Nor shall I leave them feedback. Because if I do leave them feedback, it won't be very pleasant feedback, because they really could have made more of an effort to help me get that stuff re-delivered. But because I didn't use the proper protocols in their eyes, they weren't going to do nothing. Basically what it was is they didn't want to give me my money back because they'd already got it, and they didn't really want the stuff back because it's not in their business to refund, is it? So there you go. Anyway.
The door.
I might not be getting it after all. The chap has suddenly realised that posting it out is going to be more expensive than what he quoted. So I've told him that he is welcome to cut the frame down the middle so as it can be easily squashed into a 2 foot by, I don't know, 1.5 foot wide package. I'm happy for that to happen, providing he squares off the frame, because what I can do my end is I can join it back up with some plates and countersink rivets. Is not, for me, it's not an issue. So it's entirely up to him. I did say, let me know by the end of the day, because if you're not prepared to do it, then give me a money refund and I'll start hunting for another
Door.
Cut my hole out, 1 of 2. So now I've got to frame that off, and then I've got to cut a piece of plywood out to fit inside, or 2 pieces. Then I'll lay the window in, and I'll draw around the window, and then I'll add an extra inch or more to that area, and when I glass fibre it all up, I will then leave. I don't know how I'm going to do this actually. This one's got me a bit baffled. That might actually pay me to draw. Hole number 2 has been cut, and it looks like the bloke is going to attempt to cut the door frame for me. I still might end up with it yet, who knows. Anyway, there you go. Hole number 2. Cut a piece of wood to screw in the bottom. That'll get held in polyurethane sealant, of which I'm running low on, I might add. And then after that, we've got to frame the sides. Then we've got to cut a load of ply like that with more framework, and then a backing with a hole cut for the window, and then that can be glassed up, and then I've got to rip most of it out because I don't want it there. I don't need it there. It's an unnecessary nuisance, and because this is for an off-roader, I might even go as far as putting spot lamps on that as well, and buying one of those heavy-duty 12-volt high-amp plugs and plugging that in, just so we've got that extra bit of light. Killing me. Right, there you go. Update on the caravan door. It seems that he has managed to wrap it up, and he says Royal Mail are going to take it, and it should be with me in a couple of days' time. I wish he'd make his mind up. But I know he went through a lot to wrap it for me. He misjudged the postage. Thing is, most of us nowadays buy online because stuff is posted out, unless it's local. He really didn't stand much of a chance in selling that door locally. There's just not enough people that are after one. So it was always going to be a nationwide sale, unfortunately for him. Anyway, I'm grateful to him. When it turns up, I'll give him some decent feedback, and I'll mention him online because he's got other caravan parts that I believe he's breaking, so I don't know who he is, but yeah. Anyway, look, the struts are in. I've got the plies cut. They're going to get permanently screwed in place and glued. None of this is coming out. That little lot's staying where it is, but the framework, if I go with plywood, I'm looking not to, but if I do, that will get pulled out. But to be honest, yeah, I am putting a little bit more weight back in again. There's a lot of strength in what I'm doing, so wind resistance is going to be phenomenal because of the angles I'm now fitting. The roof will now be properly propped up, and yeah, I'm happy. I've just got to make sure that when I put this all in, because obviously I've lost my shape a bit, and I won't be able to do much of this when it comes to fitting it. I mean, look at the movement up there. So I need to make sure that edge is dead smack straight before I do, or I screw and glue all of this little lot down. But so far, so good. Hello, was that a bit of rain that I just felt? I hope not. I don't need that at the moment. Right, laters. Okay people, end of day filming. Oh, I'm knackered. My knees are killing me. Are you ready for this? I've still got corner blocks to fit. The bars have got to come out. And tomorrow I'll put the corner blocks in, which is the bits for the curves, because we've got to put curves in and I need something to put the glass fibre on. So I'm thinking about putting some thick plywood behind that with pins and just glassing straight over, pull the plywood out after, and then I can get a sanding flapper wheel and just sand it. What I am going to do later on tonight, I ain't doing it yet, I'll rest. I'm going to get the pink grip out and just fill up some of the gaps. There's quite a few gaps. Some reason or another, and I don't know why, some of the plywood didn't quite go where it was meant to go. Each one was measured, each one was cut, they're all equal, but that one for some reason just slipped in the wrong position. But it don't matter too much, it's a mould. So tomorrow we'll do the corners and then we will sand everything back, get it neat and tidy, and we'll start putting the glass fibre, 2 layers to build that up inside and get it waterproof. And then we need to start the last of the windows. I need to cut some more wood. I ain't got a lot of wood left, but this side. Right, frame is now done. First layer of glass is in, and yes, that white stuff is moisture. Every so often, and it's very rare at the moment, but I get the odd spit coming down on me, and as I said to somebody about 10 minutes ago, I ain't too worried. It's not a boat, it's getting bed lined. Osmosis is not going to be an issue to me, it won't matter. So we'll just carry on as we've been doing. So I'm just waiting for that to cure off. I'm about to start this side. My surface tissue is finally turned up today. Next day delivery. I'm quite impressed with that. Right, surface tissued, not surface tissued. Not, and then you cut in, and that is what surface tissue does. It leaves an extremely smooth area. And I completely forgot about this stuff, and I wished I had remembered. Don't sand it down unless you absolutely have to. Yeah, so I'm now going to cut a piece for the middle, and then I've just got to do the top and the other top, the bottoms and the bottoms, and that's it. That front is done. We've then just got to sand it all back at a later date, cut the holes, the circles out on the corners, and then I can start the other window. It's been about 6 hours since I finished, because it rained on me, and a lot of it got wet, hence all that white. But I've been putting the heat on this, and it has actually evaporated some of the moisture, but we do have a fair bit still there. So what I am doing at the moment is heating everything up, and I'm just generally keeping a check on everything. See, that's dry. Look how smooth that is. I don't know if you can see that. That's how smooth that is, and that is how rough that is. Now if you can see the grain, no grain. I'm quite pleased with the way that came out. So I can bed line that now, and I should get no issues with it, apart from a few little pockets here and there. They're still very wet, very wet. I'll get a roller out. Unfortunately, the bloody plastic stuck to it in places, which is why I was also preheating. All of that's going to have to be sanded and a new layer put on, but it don't matter, because we can put, once we sand it, when I do the roof, I'll just layer it over the roof and bring it down. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. That has actually come out quite good. Good news in the style of Jamie Clarkson. Look what has come. You're saying, what in hell's that? Possibly. Possibly not, I don't know. Let's open it. Oh, that's a stopper. I don't need that. Right. So, what do we have? Because the guy was having troubles. What?
What a problem.
Hang on a minute, guys. Okay, so we have a door. Unfortunately, I had to give the guy instructions because he couldn't pack it lengthways to cut the frame in half. And I won't lie, I was really worried about this. But I think with some flat sheet of alley, which I have over here, we can get some countersink rivets, and we may be able to, or should even be able to, put that back together. It's an old style door. It's got all that rippled effect alley on it. Can't say that is what I was originally looking for, but I'm not complaining because these doors are not cheap. What is going on with this frame? There is something missing. Oh, right, okay. There's a piece of plastic that goes around there, and that is missing. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, there, look. So I need to find something to glue back on and hide that seam up. I will admit I didn't know that was faulted. My judgment of buying it would have changed. But look, I need a door, okay? And I know the guy in question went through a lot to get this packed for me, and possibly even lost some money doing it. So whoever you are, and I can't remember your name at this point in time, but I will give you your feedback and mention you again on my channel. I would just like to say thank you so much for your assistance. What is here I can use, definitely use. So that's the upper frame, was at the lower part. What should I use that for, the top or the bottom? Don't know. So that's got to go back together. We've also got to find a new weather seal in there, without a doubt. Okay, what's that for then? I have no idea what that's from. What's that all in aid of? That looks like a window seal. Huh? No, I don't know what that's for. I have no idea. I'll have to have a look at his photos. It's not for that, is it? It can't be. Nah, it's got to go around. That must go around the woodwork, and then the frame screws into that, so it sits under there. That's the only thing I can think of. Okay. Problem. Blasted resin that I bought, which is a completely different brand of what I'm used to, is not fully curing. It seems to be stuck in a kind of gel state. It just will not move on. Down the bottom there, still sticky. 3 days later, I'm having no end of trouble with it. I put one cup, you know, on the top of the bottle there's a little cap, and I put one of them in half the amount that I've used in the past of the other stuff, and normally it goes off within 4 hours. It's like rock hard the next morning. This still giving me grief. It is infuriating. Hate it when things don't go right. So I had a heater on it the other night, as best as I could get it anyway. I was worried that the outside would go hard and the inside would stay soft. In places I think that has actually happened. The only thing I can do now is just leave it alone. It will eventually go. It might take a week, it might take 2 weeks, it might even take between now and spring. I just don't know. We're not putting paint on it anyway until spring, and what paint I do put on it is going to be rolled, so I'm not going to cry about it too much. I'm just a little disappointed. Anyway, we've done this one now. I've just got to put the corner pieces in, and this one I'll be ready to glass up. And I won't lie, I'm nervous as hell about this and all, because I've also got to do the whole of the roof. I'm actually now debating whether to hold back and get the other stuff or mix the two together and then do it. Is one idea, but there is one thing I can do. I can just add more catalyst. So if I do these edges here inside, yeah, as an experiment, put 2 cups, see what happens. If it goes hard, then I know it is the cold weather against, in my opinion, poor quality resin. Because that should have gone off by now. 3 days, that should have gone off by now. Even with 1 cup, that should be rock hard and very malleable. Not malleable, wrong word. That should be, you should be able to sand that back, get it smooth and move on to the next stage, but it hasn't worked in the manner I want. But anyway, look, it is there. So that's now, that part is ready to lift up on. But I've still got to do the whole of the roof, and I've still got to do this side along here, and I've still got to put another layer at least over the top of this bit here to under, and a bit inside there up to that edge there, just because it needs it. Other than that, we will be very soon ready to lift this in place. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be here another week, and we had many days this week because it's been wet and I've had other things I had to sort out. So I'm just going to put those corner pieces in, cut them out, and then I'm going to call it a day on that. Take the windows out, I'm going to put them over there, and I'm then going to upload this video as you see it. After that, the next video I'm going to fix that door frame. Once that door frame's been fixed and the door is fixed, that'll be another video. That won't be a very long one. The final video on this roof will be when I've glassed the whole thing over, and I don't know at this point where that's going to take me. I need this done before Christmas Day, but I won't lie, I don't think we're going to make it. That has always been my deadline, getting this finished before Christmas Day. It's always been my deadline, but it ain't looking good because this resin is rubbish. For some reason it just hasn't cured. And I don't know why. Anyway, tripping over everything. I think that looked rather good, that, doesn't it? I don't know how it will look when it's on top of the roof, on top of the other half, because remember you've got at least a foot. Excuse me. Whatever. Anyway, I do those corners and then I'm calling it, alright? There we go, guys and girls. I have done the corners. We are now ready to glass that all up, but we're going to let that dry out first, all the glue, and we'll probably have a bash at this tomorrow or something. I've got to go over it with the sanders. I've got to take that edge off on both pieces. And oh, for God's sake, something in the back of my throat that keeps stabbing me when I'm talking, and it makes me cough, and I don't know what the hell it is. like a calcium stone or something in my glands, saliva glands. I don't know what the hell it is. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, we've just got to sand these edges over along there as well, and we've got to take all these screws out, countersink each hole, and then rebury the screws again where I need to rebury them, and then we'll be good to make a start. And this time we're going to double up the catalyst. I'm not actually sure what the hell is going on with that resin, so I might use my old catalyst on an experimental bit and see what happens. And I might even come out here later on tonight and just quickly do an area very quickly and just see if that go off hard with the old stuff. If it doesn't, either the resin is just crap, or it isn't pre-accelerated, or it is plainly too cold for that particular product. I know this stuff, which is roofing glass fibre, which is a little gloop here, went off within a few hours, so there's no reason why that shouldn't be going off. But it is, as they put it, budget roofing fiberglass, and I'll just have to order some more if that comes to it. I don't have any choice, do I? We've got to get this thing done, and I need to get it on ASAP. So next video, the very next video, is my door. We're going to get that all fixed up next week, early next week, and get the frame riveted back together. I've got to find some countersink rivets from somewhere, and then I'll put that aside. It'll be all hinged. I'll put that aside. No, I won't. I've got to paint this black first. It's textured, and I've got this big old dent going on here, and filling it is going to be a bit of a mare. Do you know what? I'm going to paint it. I am going to paint it, and this area here, I'll see if I can cut out a piece of checker plate or something, and put a big whopping great piece of checker plate on, and we'll rivet it all the way to this piece, and then we'll put the trim in. I've got some trim I've ordered, which is this stuff here, very similar to this, and I'll re-trim it all the way around on both. It's black, so this should look okay. I don't think I'm going to paint the frame though, but we do need to get that frame back together, and at some point I've got to find a new piece. I've got to find a new seal for it, because when the chappy hacksawed it, he went through the seal as well, which I'm not criticising. It's one of them things you couldn't really unstick it. It's not, unless it was one of them ones that glides into a groove, then it could have been undone. No, it sticks down, and it's rock hard anyway. That's just normal door. Draft excluder on that. We can order that from Toolstation. I've seen it in there. So, not an issue really, is it? And at the very worst, what we can do is we can cut that lip off and just put a normal door trim in there from a car. It really comes to it, but it'll be a nightmare to shut. Right, I'm having a cup of coffee, and then I'll come down and rope this all up, and then we will get this video started. So I'd very much like to say thank you very much for your kind views last week and comments and your thumbs up. Please don't leave me on 13. Somebody is secretly pressing the thumbs up button, but it's not showing up on your YouTube that you see. How many likes? 12. No, there's actually 13. Somebody has found a way of clicking the like button and it don't show up. So when I look at the video on my chart, it says 13, but when I unsubscribe from myself, not unsubscribe, when I don't log in, it says 12, and I hate 13. It's a very unlucky number. So if I click the like button myself on what you already see, it'll be on 13. But when I go onto my algorithm, it'll be 14. I can't win. I need somebody, please, just to click it one more time so I can click it myself and get it off 13 and get it on 14 and 15. Please, because I'm a very superstitious old sod, and I hate seeing them on 13. Don't like it. But for what you have pressed, thank you. Anyway, I'll see you next week with a short video on the door, and then hopefully we'll pick up the roof again if the weather's improved. This week has been terrible, so I haven't done a lot, but we'll pick the weather up, and then we'll pick the roof up again, cover the whole thing once I know this stuff will go hard, and then once we've got that, we'll bolt the thing on, and we can then move on to fitting the door, and then that's it for Christmas period. We're just going to pack up now until January once we've got that last 2 video done. See you next week.